In this video, we are going to pull the prices of the Kyber exchange every time we receive a new block from the Ethereum blockchain. For this, we will need to first create a connection to the smart contract of Kyber, and after, we're going to call a function that gives us the price of a specific market. So first step, let's create this connection with the smart contract of Kyber. So first, we need to import the ABI of Kyber, so that's the JSON document that describes the Solidity interface of this smart contract. So we already have it in the ABI in kyber.json. So we're going to import all the ABIs with require ABIs. And we also need the address of Kyber, so that's already in the addresses folder. I've already copied for you. So we're going to import an object called mainnet, and we're going to rename this to addresses, and we require this from the addresses folder. And after, below Web3, we're going to create a connection to Kyber. So for that, we use the Web3 instance that we created before. Here, there's the new keyword. And so first we need to provide the ABI of Kyber. So ABI.kyber.kyber network proxy. So Kyber network proxy is the smart contract of Kyber that we're going to interact with. Kyber has many different smart contracts, and they have this one Kyber network proxy that it's basically a convenience to make it easier to interact with their ecosystem. And for the addresses, that's the same thing, Kyber.Kyber network proxy. And now with our Kyber object, we can communicate with the Kyber smart contract. So in order to pull prices on Kyber, we need to specify what's the quantity of token that we want to buy, because if we want to buy a lot of token, the price will be a little bit worse. That's what we call slippage. So Kyber needs to know this information. So we're going to define a couple of variables. First, we're going to define amount ETH. So we're going to try to do arbitrage for 100 Ether. So 100 Ether is a compromise between an amount that would be too low to make any profit and an amount that would be too high and create too much slippage. And if you want, of course, you can adjust this parameter to see if it works better. Then we define another parameter, recent ETH price. So at the time of recording this video, that's about $230 US. So of course here we define this statically, but that would be better if this would be regularly updated. So I wanted to simplify this script, which will be already a little bit complex. So that's why here I chose to make it that way. But after, if you want to further improve this script, you can change your script so that this updates regularly. So after, we're going to define another variable, which is the amount of Ether in way that we're going to use for the arbitrage. So when we transfer Ether, we don't specify 1 Ether, 2 Ether, 3 Ether, but instead we use a much smaller unit that we call way. So 1 Ether equal 10 power 18 way, or in other words, 1 way is a very, very small unit of Ether. 1 way equal 0.000, etc. Ether. So to do this conversion, we can use web3.utils.toWay and pass it the amount of Ether and transform this into a string, because that's what this function is expecting. And so in the end, we'll have a very big number that will be wrapped into a string, because sometimes this number are so big that they exceed the maximum number you can represent in JavaScript. But if you wrap them in a string, then you don't suffer from this limit. And we're also going to specify the amount of DAI for the arbitrage. So that's basically the value of this amount should equal the value of Ether in way. So for that, we're going to multiply this by recent ETH price, and we transform everything into a string, and close the parenthesis. And now we're gonna go inside the onData callback here. So whenever we receive a new block from the blockchain, we will query Kyber. So we define a variable for the result we're gonna get from Kyber, and we going to query Kyber. So promise all allow you to do send several requests to the network at the same time. So we want to know two prices if we go from DAI to Ether and if we go from Ether to DAI. And we're going to do these two requests at the same time with promise.all. So first we're going to use the Kyber object, then we call methods, then the name of the method that we want to call. So that's get expected rate. So first we need to pass the address of the source token. So that's going to be DAI. Then we need to pass the address of the destination token. So in our case, destination token is Ether, but Ether is not a token. So Kyber actually has a convention for this, and you can use a special address for this. And I don't remember it by heart. So I'm going to the repo of EatTheBlocks profitable flash loan, Poll Kyber prices, run arbitrage, and I scroll down, and here I find this address. So let's paste this, and after we're going to put the amount of DAI that we want to sell. So amount DAI way. So this will give us the price of Ether if we buy Ether with DAI and for this amount of DAI. And after, we need to execute the call method, and it will actually send our request to the network. So this is not a transaction, this is just a read-only operation, so it doesn't cost us any transaction fee. And after that, we're going to do the same call, but we're going to invert the parameter this time. So we're going from Ether to DAI, and in this case this is amount ETH way, and then we're going to console log Kyber results, and now we go to our terminal to run this. Yes, it works. So we see that we receive a new block after we receive an array of two objects. So one which is from DAI to ETH. So here what is important is expected rate, and the other one is from Ether to DAI. So if the market doesn't move a lot, you will see that the expected rate from one block to the other will be the same, so it's not a mistake. And sometime when there is more volatility, then you will see that from one block to the other, the number will be different. So here, for example, you can see that here it ends with 56, but here it was 92, so we can see some change. So I'm going to stop my script with Ctrl+C. So we're going to stop the video here, and in the next video, we're going to normalize the prices of Kyber.